Episode number 100 of the Reluctantly podcast was with my daughter, Kate. That was the culmination of 100 episodes of a podcast that I never really anticipated doing, but started nonetheless. And it's been a hell of a lot of fun and a really fun ride. So the first 100 episodes ends with my daughter, Kate. The next 100 episodes kicks off with episode number 101, and my son, Riley, is my guest today on the podcast.
Reluctantly.
This podcast, reluctantly sponsored by ThompsonMortgages.com. If you are set to renew your mortgage in 2026, reach out to Thompson Mortgages first. TimberBuiltHomes.ca. Homes and cottages, recreational dwellings, and more at TimberBuiltHomes.ca. Concept Clothing and Culture. Amazing custom-made clothes for men and for women at CONXEPPT.com. And Wendy Campbell, realtor at blackmorerealestate.ca. If you would like to list your home, or if you're searching for your forever home, email Wendy at blackmorerealestate.ca. WENDE at blackmorerealestate.ca.
Reluctantly.
Well.
This
is the first time we're doing it like this too.
This is the first time this is a thing that it's when I first asked Kate right at the beginning is this weird?
Well, we'll get it's like starting a lawnmower. The first couple pulls will be a little, just gotta prime the fuel, but we'll be cooking with gas soon.
Gotta get the oil.
Gotta get into it.
Gotta get the oil rolling through the machine for a little bit. Did you listen to the podcast with Kate?
I did yesterday. Yeah, it was really good, and some funny stories in there and stuff. And I just love like how it progressed, like starting with her swimming and now with all of her bartending, and just like how everything along the way kind of led to that. It was super interesting. I was just doing dishes and laundry to it.
Was there times where you laughed out loud or said something out loud because you know the story?
Yeah, like you cutting through your plate and stuff, eating pizza with a knife and fork. This guy, I always get on him about it, and now everyone knows.
There's nothing wrong with eating pizza with a knife and fork. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with it. For me, it's a hand food unless it's like the greasiest pizza like ever, like soaking through the box. Then probably, I don't know, I'd just roll it up into a burrito at that point, I think. But
so you mentioned listening to, that's a good way to eat pizza. I never thought of that. You mentioned listening to episode number 100 with your sister, and how we started off with her being little and into synchronized swimming, and how much time she spent doing that up until her 11th grade in high school, or 12th grade, really. With you, it was something completely different. There was a lot of times where you and I spent times driving around in the truck doing things, listening to music on our way to the golf dome or hockey or whatever the case. What are some of your earliest memories of doing that with the old man?
Just really just going to practice and listening to some music along the way. It was just so fun, and I was just excited to see all my friends, some of which lived in the same neighborhood as us, so I'd see all those guys all the time. And it was kind of like a social thing, like extracurricular thing, just so I wouldn't be bored in the house. And it was really good to be fit at that age too, and just going to the games with you, and whether you were coaching or not, you always gave me some post-game talk or whatever, to be like, hey, you got to work on this, you really got to get in front of the net, put your stick on the ice. Sometimes I felt like I just wanted it to be a fun thing, but it took me a while to kind of integrate actually striving to be great at something from the hop kind of thing. But then looking back, I realized if I took hockey as seriously as, say, I took my swimming lessons or my taekwondo lessons or whatever, where I just screwed around and didn't take it seriously at all. My only swim level is a dolphin level. It's not even, I never even got a number or nothing, but I can swim great. Yeah, I'm just glad that, like, I knew that hockey was the thing that I wanted to strive to be good at. Yeah, just try and be great at something.
Do you remember when your first few weeks of playing hockey where you had a complete disregard for the puck and you would just skate back and forth across the blue line?
I thought that was what I was supposed to do because I think we were just running a drill for that one day. And then I was just like, okay, I don't know how to do anything else. I'll just do this because I was really good at that drill. That was probably my thought process with that.
Yeah,
And
you would
yeah.
it was your line would go out and you'd stand on that blue line, and as soon as the whistle blew, it didn't matter where the puck was, you'd just go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth across that blue line, and the puck would go past you, to, fro, hither, yon, and you had no clue, and then
Skating around.
so you would do that for a bunch of times, and then, all the parents of the players of the kids on the team, they would kinda see what was happening, and any time that the puck came near you, everybody was so excited about the possibility of maybe you touching that puck. Everybody would cheer and go bananas,
Really? Oh, wow. I don't quite remember that very well.
and then if you actually did touch the puck, it was like we had just won the Stanley Cup. All of the parents would go bananas because you had the puck. And then the day came where you scored your first goal. Well, I thought I was gonna lose my shit right there. I was so excited. That was amazing. Do you still have the puck?
Somewhere.
I
I
thought you were gonna reach into your
Oh,
pocket.
yeah, right here. I wish. Yeah, it's just all that stuff's buried in boxes, but I definitely yeah, I know that we saved that stuff. We definitely have the first goal puck. Somewhere I have my first hat trick puck,
Mhm.
which is the funniest story ever, and I don't know whether you were coaching that day or whether you were just,
In the
assistant
stands.
coach maybe kinda thing, but I remember I think, we were playing in, like, Morinville or Vegreville or
One of the Vills?
Andrew, one of the Villes, might as well just call it Albertaville.
Yep.
But we were in one of those towns or like Tofield, like, we went like all over the place, like,
Mhm.
long drives like Riviera Kabar and, you know, all over.
Viking, Tofield, yeah.
Viking, Tofield, we practiced basically all the time in Bonnecourt and Gibbons. So, when we were in Gibbons and stuff. But anyway, so this game, I apparently games before, like I did something to piss off the other team, and they had my number. At this point, I was in like Pee Wee, maybe year two Pee Wee, so it was like 9 or 10.
Yeah.
But I felt like I was in my prime, kind of thing, in an odd way because I was just such a menace.
You were a bull. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, which not a lot of people would really gather from me now. But yeah, so I did something to piss off the other team, and their guy on their other team that once we all skated on the ice and did our warm-ups and stuff, shoot around, I saw this guy that was probably like he almost looked like he was like a 29-year-old playing against like 12-year-olds kind of scale, like almost like you'd be as tall as me or you now. And I was like 5'5" or 6. Like I was pretty small still. Like I wasn't like the
I don't
tallest
even think
guy.
you were that big.
Yeah, if that, And right when we get on ice, we start skating around. This guy is just like locked in on me and is just like death staring me and all that and trying to be intimidating and stuff. And I was just like, oh no. Well, that's I don't know if this is going to be a very good game for me. This guy could just totally hand my ass to me or whatever. So I was like, well, I don't know. There's nothing I can do. He's big. I'm not like, look at you, big guy, big and tough and macho. You can kick my ass. So what? So I just went up to the face off and just approached it like any other game. And I was like, okay, let's just see how this goes. And he was facing off, obviously, right in front of me. I was right wing. I guess he was left wing from his thing. And they won the face off. The puck comes straight to him, and but he's like fumbling with the puck in his skates, and he's a big bumbly bastard. And and he had his head down, and so I just see this that he's like bumbling the puck. So then I just lower my shoulder and knock him, just flat on his ass. And right when I did that, I heard the whole arena just go like, "Oh!" and it was in there, and because no one was expecting that in like the first 2 seconds of the game, then I take the puck, I have a breakaway, and I score. That was the first goal. And then immediately it was just like, okay, I went from like being the guy who was like trying, like, being the intimidated guy, but now I'm like, oh my God, I'll watch this. And then the second goal, I think, was somewhere like, I think it was at the start of the second period, because I think I got a couple assists in that game too, because I wasn't even trying to score a hat trick. I was
You
just
got
play.
5 you had 5 points in that
I
game.
got 2 assists
Yeah.
too. You remember
Mhm.
5 points? That's get me on your parlay. So yeah, then a couple assists here and there, no big deal.
Mhm.
And the second goal, I think, was just like passing around and playmaking, and basically the whole game after that first hit, this guy was just like in my dust, basically. And so deked through the goalie, shot another goal, which I was just like, how am I doing this right now? And then the guy starts getting mad, flashing his stick, yelling at the refs or whatever. And then the referees notice that his helmet is undone. So then he gets kicked out of the game. And then while he's getting escorted out by the refs out of the game, he's just like, oh my gosh,
Mhm.
all of that. And I'm just like,
See you later.
and I scored a third goal. And it was like, oh, that was like the hugest celebration ever. It was oddly enough, though, like I think we felt the need to be like, okay, we should probably get out of here, like um after we get our skates off and all that. But that's probably my favorite story from hockey. And there were some other ones like it, like me fighting two people at once, and
Yeah.
me beating up a goalie in front of his grandma.
Well,
And
let's not go
yeah,
down
we
that.
don't, but
The thing
anyway,
is, you tell the story about your 5-point night and, or day, and it was in Andrew, and it was a tournament. It wasn't against the Andrew team. I think it was against Wabasca.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
Wabiska. I was
So
wondering what it was. Yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, that was in Pee Wee or
I think it was Pee Wee.
yeah, playing for the Gibbons,
CNN Spurs.
CNN Spurs.
Yeah.
Before that, we were talking about the beginning of your hockey, skating back and forth across the blue line, and then that you were 4, and then you decided you didn't want to play hockey, so you didn't play hockey for when you were 5. You took that year off, and that's when you had already started golfing. You were 3 years old, and we were going to the golf dome on Gateway Boulevard. It used to be Calgary Trail northbound, but
I missed that place.
yeah, well, we would go there 3, 4 times a week and spend hours there. You would hit golf balls until your hands bled. Grandma, she got golf gloves and cut them down and turned them inside out and sewed them so that you would have a golf glove on your left hand because you would swing and hit balls. You would just hit balls over and over. I would sit there, put a ball on the tee, you would hit it. You were just pounding them to the back of the golf dome. You were 3 years old. And then you started going bananas, when you took that year off hockey, and we were at the Golf Dome all the time. We went to Rundle Park Golf Course, and we went to a whole bunch of other
Goose
stuff, and
Hummock, and
yeah,
that's one of my other favorite ones.
yeah,
Yeah.
and, you had your US Kids golf clubs. I remember people coming because I was playing in the Flying Fathers charity game at the old Rexall Place, for the Oilers alumni, and I went in and, tried to skate around back of the net, and I fell and I broke my heel by hitting the end boards, and
Yeah, I
that was
remember that.
Flying Fathers, but, I broke my heel, but I was still able to drive, so I would sit on a chair with my broken foot and just put balls on the golf tee, and you would hit them, and that was right, just after Kate was born, so, you would have been 3 f yeah, well, you probably would have been 4 years old, but you would just hit ball after ball, basket after basket. Your hands would be bleeding, and then you would cry when we left because you didn't wanna go. You couldn't hit balls anymore because your hands were so raw, but you would cry when we left because you didn't wanna go.
You've heard it here first, folks. I've always been like this. Dedication. Anything I do, I gotta, and if I don't care if my hands are bleeding, don't care if I don't know, if I nick my pinky on a snare drum in the middle and start bleeding all over myself.
Well,
It's just go,
there you go.
go.
You just said snare drum. So, do you remember, we would drive to the Golf Dome or we would drive around doing whatever we were doing. and there would always be music on in the truck. And do you remember what are some of your first musical memories driving around in the truck?
Actually, a lot of them are listening to more folk stuff. Like we would listen to a lot of K97, obviously. But we would listen to like a lot of BB King and Eric Clapton and John Hyatt and John Prine and a little bit of country stuff sprinkled in there too, and just like more than just like classic rock, like that rock, like kind of more folk sensibility kind of stuff as well, which was just really cool. And like Steve Earle, that like those are Mike Plume, like early stuff like that. Those are probably like my earliest memories. Like I've told you before that like my earliest music memory is hearing Bootleg by Mike Plume. I think it must have been on one of those drives, or yeah, it must have been on one of those drives because I know they had Song and Dance Man on CD and all of his albums on CD. Those were the drives with you, and I gathered a lot from that. And then drives with mom would be like a bit more country and a bit more hip hop. We'd still listen to K97. It's not like we weren't, or like we were like, but you
Thank
know,
God Dad's not here. We don't have to.
but yeah, you know, and over time, like I never knew who, which band was doing which song. Like I never knew that like Painted Black was by the Rolling Stones or whatever. But I heard all these songs like so much before I even knew like any of the bands. But then eventually, like one day I just started asking. I think it's when you got a new truck when it showed, or it was no, it was before that. Because like on the radio it just said 97.3, there's nothing else, like it doesn't show you what song that's playing. So I would just start asking you, like, hey, what band's this? What band's that? It'd be like AC/DC, that's Supertramp, that's Prism, it's Tom Cochrane, that's Aerosmith, Led Zeppelin, or whatever.
Mhm.
And then when you got a new truck one year, then it was the coolest thing ever too, because it showed the artist and stuff, like it's, you know, the song and the artist name. So I didn't really have to ask you as much at that point. You know, but I was still like, from that it kind of just like piqued my curiosity at an early time. But it was just kind of all encompassing, like, well, for, you know, what I've had to learn so far. And I found that that like has applied to so many more situations, like being at least familiar with the like those types of music. I'm not the folkiest guy, but I can play folk music and sit in and, you know, put on a cowboy hat.
When you came home from the hospital after you were born, you were you were healthy, but uh, you were having a hard time at the beginning. You had colic.
What's that?
It's, where you all the congestion and stuff in your lungs and stuff, and it's terrible for a baby, and it's not great for the parents who have a brand new baby. And I remember I used to have
If it's so bad, why do they give it such a cool name? It
it
actually sounds kind of cool.
colic.
Call it, or I don't know, maybe not. Never mind.
So, it sounds like a Scottish name. "Hello, colic."
Yeah, or like the Irish like pronunciation, Riley,
Yeah.
Riley.
So you had colic or whatever it was, and I would swaddle you up, and mom was recovering from childbirth and stuff because her labor was quite lengthy. You were pretty happy where you were, and you didn't really
Want to leave?
you weren't in any hurry to come out and see the world, over the course of basically 36 hours of labor, but, um, I spent a lot of time with you, especially the first 2 months as mom recovered from pregnancy. And with you being not well, colic, they say that the best thing to do is pat the baby on the back. So I would swaddle you up, stick your arms down right tight to your body, swaddle you up in the blanket, and I'd put you on my shoulder, and I would just hammer on your back, just as almost as hard as I could to hammer on, just to try and loosen that up so that you could have some relief and stop crying. And I remember we had
Was it like a respiratory thing? Like, would it be like I wouldn't breathe, or like, or
it's
I just get high V, or like kind of
it was just annoying, hard, I don't know,
anyway?
Google it.
Okay, I'll
You'll
Google
figure
it
it
out.
out.
Yeah.
So, we at the time, we had the gray package satellite dish, which was a satellite company that, I don't know what it was, Dish Star or whatever the hell. And I was able to go on there and find music. And I always put a blues station on when I was walking around the house with you, just hammering on your back. And it was like all the blues greats, traditional old blues greats and stuff, and right up to Stevie Ray Vaughan and, everything you could possibly imagine. And that was my earliest memory of music associated with you. And that I wonder sometimes if that had anything to do with the fact that, I'm certainly not trying to take credit for anything like that. Yeah, and I could say that I taught you everything I know, but I didn't. I know that. But just that constant hammering on your back to try and relieve you of what you were dealing with as a newborn, it made me wonder if there was some sort of, you know, if I just beat the music into you trying to get rid of the colic, you know what I mean?
That makes actually 100% sense, and, I'm not a scientist or anything, but I'll tell you why. It's because, like, rhythm is such a primal thing, and especially, say, in one's infancy or whatever, like, say, like, even, like, I'm sure, like, if I was crying, if I heard the music, like, I would probably relax a little bit, and being patted like that in a rhythmic way, it would be almost like, even though I'm not conscious or, like, aware of anything yet, it would be kind of, like, soothing or reassuring or yeah, like, so it's kind of like from that, I think that could have had a huge part in, like, how that was, like, ingrained into me at an early age. That's why some of the best drum rhythms are boom, tap, boom, boom, tap, boom, 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 boom.
I
Like, it's
was
all primal stuff. It's all human elements.
a
And
heartbeat.
yeah, some days I just wonder if you ever listen to Frank Zappa and do that, like, hammer out some quintuplets and 7/4 and whatever. You
Don't
know?
don't hammer on the table, you just blew everybody's ears
Oh,
out.
man, I'm sorry. Okay, we'll give a little headphone warning there.
This is actually from up until that point, I think this is the longest period of time you've actually gone without going like this because you're always playing something with
Yeah,
your fingers or your feet or something like
it
that.
annoys everyone.
So you're a baby, you've got colic, you're getting the heartbeat pounded into you, trying to loosen up all the phlegm and whatnot in your lungs. You go into hockey, you go into golf, and then you're playing hockey, and then hockey all of a sudden takes a back seat. What did you do you remember the point in does it does it stick out in your head when you thought, "Hey, I wanna be a drummer"?
That probably started entering my head in, like, between grade 4 and grade 6, because that's when I started at Gibbons School and, at Landing Trail, which was up until 4th grade. There the only music classes that there were like recorders and that stuff. So in grade 5 and grade 6, I started going to still playing hockey, mind you, but started going to music class, and there would just be a drum set there. And I think it was like up to a ninth grade school, I'm pretty sure. So, but like every time I was in there, like it was never like the drum kit was never really utilized in class. It was, it was still a lot of recorder stuff, a lot of scales, like kind of like monotonous, like music stuff. Like we didn't even listen to that much, it felt like. But then eventually, like, hey, you're going into grade 6, grade 7, or whatever. Time to like, if you ever join concert band, like pick an instrument. And, like, already consistently with my teacher, I was like, "Yo, let me on the drums, let me on the drums," and, like, he wouldn't be, like, mean about it or dismissive, really, but he'd be like, "Oh, like, later or next time, next week," or whatever, and just kinda kept on kinda kicking the can along. But eventually, we had a, day where we just put all these band instruments out on the floor, and there were maybe, like, 15, 18 of us in the room, and my teacher, I think his name was Mr. Sabo. Yeah. So he put all these instruments out on the ground, and it was like, "Okay, everyone pick one," basically. And it's a cool idea, like everyone picking an instrument. Having them on the ground is not really as good because I stepped on a clarinet ligature and broke it. So that already, I was already not really trusted to go on the drums. Can I even be trusted around the stuff that they can't get anyone to play willingly? But I picked the trombone because I was like, I don't know. I tried playing some of the other, like I tried saxophone and flute and trumpet. I couldn't get a sound out of it. The trombone was just kind of the most fun. I could get a sound out of it. It was bass clef, which somehow I gravitated better towards than treble clef reading. Like I can still read bass clef pretty well. But how I stopped playing hockey essentially is because once again, like I was like an equivalent of like having like a Zach Cassian on your team. Like the guy in front of the net, like screening the goalie, getting like tip in goals and stuff, getting in all the scrums, defending my goalie. If someone's like whacking at his hand trying to break a finger or something, then I'm gonna get a major penalty and stuff. And I threw my weight around a lot. But I also got hit a lot. And I had basically maybe like the time span isn't quite like accurate, but from what I remember, I think I had like 2 or 3 concussions in the span of like 2 months in my last year in hockey, which was in grade 7. And I remember one particular one that I think was kind of the one that was like, yeah, like I don't really want to go to Bantam because it's just going to get kind of worse like this. It was an Easter Sunday game, I believe, which is like makes sense later. Go to the rink and we're playing, and I'm skating with the puck. I think you must have seen it too. Correct me if any of this is like inaccurate or whatever. But skating on the ice, and I had the puck, and I was like trying to go for a breakaway or get across, and I think I dumped the puck in, but then I got just like totally leveled, like dude way bigger than me. Shoulder, my head was at his shoulder level. Like he didn't like raise himself or lower himself. He just knocked me clean on my ass, and I was like knocked out on the ice for a minute, maybe a couple seconds.
It seems like a long time, but
It was probably just like 10, 15 seconds. And I get back on the ice, and back then there was no like concussion protocol, let alone in like in the NHL, let alone in Pee Wee like minor leagues and stuff. So I get back on the bench, and I'm just rattled. Like the lights are super duper bright in that arena, reflecting off the white ice. But I'm just sat back down on the bench, and I'm just trying to be like, am I okay? Like I think I'm okay. I want to be okay. I want to play still, but I was just not in a good way. And my coach comes over to me and is like, "Hey, Riley, like, what day of the week is it?" And you'd think it's Easter Sunday. Sunday would be the first answer. I could not tell him for the life of me what day of the week it was. So yeah, it was a little worrying at that point. And like I was still having a lot of fun with hockey, and I felt like I was like the best I had ever been. So that's why it was like really hard to like hard switch. But, in grade 7, I started getting on the drums and, started liking that more. I had my own drum set at home, but I got that in grade 6. And then yeah, so basically just hard switched after that, and I was like, "Okay, like, I'm doing good in school. You guys will get one half of the drum kit, I'll get the other half." And that was the deal, and I was like, "Okay, like, hard switch, like this is it. Like, am I gonna take it seriously, or is it just gonna be another thing?" Because like this, I thought the drums were so cool, and I didn't want it to be like like I didn't take it seriously, and now I don't really do it anymore. Like I didn't want it to be like that.
flash in the pan or a fad or anything
Yeah,
like that. I
and
remember too when you got that drum kit. I had never put together a drum kit before, and we did it. There was a DVD that we watched, an instructional DVD, and we would watch 20 seconds of it and then pause it and then try and find all the parts and put it all together. And at the end of it, when it was all put together, and you were little, like you said, and you were in grade 6, so you were 11 years old or whatever, 10, 11 years old. And we put it all together, and all the toms were
like this, yeah. I
basically,
just remember everything being so angular and
yeah,
so high,
so
and
that you could
yeah,
so that you could hit it all. And we put it all together, and you reached out and made sure that you could touch all the cymbals and touch all the drums. And I said, "Well, there you go. You're a drummer." And then you launched into "Run to the Hills" by Iron
Iron
Maiden,
Maiden.
and I just about lost my shit. You stopped playing. I said, "How did you know that?" How do you know Run to the Hills? You don't have a drum. Like, where have you learned that
Just
from?
like, yeah.
You just went right into it, and I was floored completely. And it was Rock Band.
Yep. It was, I beat the brakes off of that Rock Band kit until eventually the snare one and the hi-hat one, because I hit those so hard, just both of them, just the sensors stopped working basically. But I could play at like grade 6, I could play Run to the Hills on expert, and that was like the hardest song in that game, or of the hardest songs in that game.
Mike Thompson from ThompsonMortgages.com is my mortgage broker. He's helped facilitate a number of real estate transactions over the years for me, and I know he can help you. He's not just some rando dude. I actually have used him. And if you're looking for a better way to lower your monthly payments or save money on your mortgage, now might be the perfect time to refinance your home. This is your reminder that even a small change in your mortgage rate can make a big difference every single month. So whether you're looking to reduce your payments, consolidate debt, simply explore better options, Mike Thompson is here to help make the process simple and stress-free. A quick conversation could help you lower your interest rate, reduce your monthly mortgage payment, free up some extra cash every month, consolidate high-interest debt into one manageable payment. Don't keep overpaying if better options are available. Call Mike Thompson today, 780-918-9157, and see what refinancing could do for you. I'd like to take a moment to tell you how excited I am to welcome a new partner on the Reluctantly podcast. It's Timber Built Homes. Their focus is timber homes and cottages, year-round living, recreational dwellings, and beyond that, pavilions, barns, and freestanding timber-built offices. Complete information is available at timberbuilthomes.ca, and it's also where you'll learn about Timber-Built's Home in a Box. It's fantastic. An entire home package shipped in a sea can anywhere in the world right to your build site. See the floor plans, sample builds, photo gallery, and most important, the prices right on their website, timberbuilthomes.ca. And please let them know that you heard about them on the Reluctantly podcast. We were still out in Gibbons at that time, and we moved into St. Albert for your grade 7 for your beginning of junior high. And that's when you went into the music class and you were talking about Mr. Sabo, and that's when you met Tate.
Yeah, that's right.
Tate Tweeton. And Tate was a guitar player, and Riley and Tate, they were a month apart in age, and they hit it off. And that was the first guy that you kind of played together with as, a drummer and a guitarist. Tate would come over and you had a drum kit in your bedroom when you guys would play AC/DC. Tate was a hell of a guitar player for his age. And you were, I remember the first time Wayne Alchin and Carson Cole saw you before you'd even played live anywhere. And they talked about the meter that you had, how you were able to keep the beat and how it was so easy to play along with you, or to see you drum and to follow along. What you're always on the backbeat, or always in the pocket. You always had your meter and everything like that. So it seemed like it was going to be the beginning of something. And then you and Tate went to the visionary, what was the
Camp Rockstar
in Camrose, and you met Declan. So you and Tate were 12. Declan was he 14 already?
He was 13 still, I think.
Yeah. And you met Declan at Camp Rockstar.
You know what the first memory of Declan I have is?
What?
It was like orientation day, where everyone's like, because it was like a sleepover camp in Camrose, this Camp Rockstar. And, we were all getting acquainted, figuring out where all the classes and who's in what band and all that. But then we can make our own bands. Like, it wasn't like we were assigned, like, lumped together or whatever. But we were passing through the hall, and I just heard, I think we were going, like, through some, like, stairs or whatever. And I was walking with you, and maybe Tate was there too, but maybe Tate and Roger were doing their own thing.
Yeah.
But I just remember this British chap coming around the bend with his dad, Tony. And I just hear, "Hey, are you Terry Evans?"
That's right.
And
That
we
was
were just like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" And it was just, like, innocuous and innocent enough or whatever, but then, he wound up being basically, like, my along with Tate, like, my best friend that I made there. I've met, like, a lot of other people from there too, like, actually, JD Spielman was playing bass for us, and I still see him, like, play around all the time,
yeah.
and, I it's so fuzzy, I can't remember a lot of people, but it was just so cool, and even just being there, because me and Tate just both, like, decided that we wanted to go. I don't know whether it was your idea or maybe Tate's dad's idea to go, but we were like, "Yeah, let's go," and it's so cool because, like, we basically actually met, and like the only reason that we even really became like actually close is just because we both picked trombone and we were sat right next to each other. And I remember our first day when we were trying to like do stuff, like we were kind of like, "Oh, how do you do it?" Just like, "Oh, I don't know, you figure it out," and stuff. But then the next day he brought his guitar in and he was just ripping on the guitar, like going crazy, and I was like, "Whoa!" Like it just like instantly it was like, okay, this dude's like already like he's like a 30-year-old in a 12-year-old's body kind of thing. Like it was already just like, okay, like this dude's like the coolest dude ever. And then with Declan too, like it was, he brought like the British invasion aspect to the whole thing. And then
Mhm. That's how DRT was formed. Declan, Riley, and Tate. The dynamic between the 3 of you was something else. Declan was a little more outgoing, Tate quite shy, you kinda in the middle, but the 3 of you, I think for the all intents and purposes, shared a musical brain and really had the same sort of taste in music and were, very willing to learn songs that another would recommend, and I remember I remember the 3 of you would be rehearsing in our garage, playing all these La Via Strangiato and all these Rush songs.
YYZ
Yeah.
and yeah,
So you're 12 years
Guess
old.
Who medley.
Yeah, you're 12 years old. Tate's 12 years old. Declan's 13 going on 14. And you guys are playing Rush songs and like note for note in the garage. And I come out and I say, "You guys, you can play all these Rush songs and it sounds amazing. I love it. But if you ever want to meet any girls, you got to start playing like Raise a Little Hell by Trooper or something. That's you got to play
Girls
something.
love that song.
You got to
They
get something
still to this day.
that girls are gonna shake their ass to. So if you ever wanna meet any girls, maybe ease up on all the Rush music, but yeah, that was something else. Do you remember your first pro gig as DRT?
Yeah, that was at, Whittled's, storage place, right?
Well, yeah, that was
Or it was old one or
yeah, our lawyer, in the back in the warehouse, that was Whittle's, Whitlaw, uh, part of the Rock and Roll Society of Edmonton and the Center for Arts and Music, which it eventually became. But yeah, it was the banger and the hanger sort of announcement party. But
Yeah,
well, before we get to that, how about the first time you ever played in front of people other than anyone in your house? Do you remember that?
um, my first gig like that before, like, the Rock and Roll Society one, Banger and Hanger announcement, that was one of those, the rock outs.
Rock out with your cookout.
Yeah, at the barbecue and sitting in with Carson Cole and all those guys. Johnny Tornado was there, Gary was there,
Gary Zimmerman, Johnny Tornado, Carson Cole on drums,
and Cody Cole.
Mark Amar.
Oh, yeah, Mark was there too,
Cody
yeah.
wasn't there.
Oh, okay.
Cody wasn't there. So you had Gary Zimmerman, Johnny Tornado, Carson Cole, and Mark Amar.
Yeah.
And then Mark invited you up to play. So your first time ever playing in front of people other than in our house, you were playing with Carson Cole, Gary Zimmerman, and Johnny Tornado. And you played, I don't think, 3 or 4 songs. Do you remember when the police showed up?
No.
So the police, it was we were notorious with when the radio station had the rockouts with your cookouts, we brought a band along. We would always tell the
Oh,
winners,
neighbors with noise complaint.
yeah, that we would always tell them to let their neighbors know, and even if the neighbors that they didn't like, make sure they invite them so that they're not the first ones to complain. Well, at that
Good rule
rockout,
of thumb, like,
yeah,
yeah.
at that rock out with your cookout, you're on the drums. Mark Amar is sitting there on the steps watching you play with Carson Cole, Johnny Tornado, and Gary Zimmerman. The cops show up. Do you know who the police officer was?
Tony?
Tony Paxton, Declan's dad.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you. It's not one word of a lie.
How did I never know that?
You were playing drums, and I went around the side of the house and talked to the cops. And Tony was one of them.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Next time I talk to Declan or see Declan, I'm going to have to mention that. I'm not sure if maybe he knows that.
Tony might remember.
Yeah, Tony would probably remember that too. That is nuts. See, from the first time stepping out of the house, playing a show,
yeah,
everyone's still trying to shut it down.
So I don't know if I think the Banger in the Hangar was your actual first paid professional gig where you played and you opened up for a band that was the big feature act. I think it was Big Hank was the headliner at the Banger in the Hangar. I remember seeing him in the back of the Cadillac on the promo poster, but you guys opened up for that show. And then you ended up, opening up for Jack DeKaiser. You ended up getting, the thing was, you guys became a go-to band that everybody wanted to hire, but nobody could because you were 13 years old and you were 5 years away from being able to get into a bar.
Yeah. What bar, I am our bookableness or whatever at that point, bars would have wanted to if they could hire us.
You ended up playing a lot of private shows, playing a lot of birthday parties and Quonsets out by
getting eaten by bugs and stuff.
And mice in carpets and whatnot.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So there was all kinds of gigs all over the place, all over. And then it got to the point where Declan left DRT and you and Tate.
Not before playing Rexall Place.
Oh, that's right. Yes, you played Rexall Place when the Oil Kings won the Memorial Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah. So being able to play Rexall Place was pretty cool, especially considering that it was a packed bar or a barn.
A packed bar. Yeah. It was certainly both of those. And yeah, it was to be already playing arenas, it's an intermission during a WHL hockey game, but it still counts. It's still playing.
There was 12,000 people there.
Yeah. And it was just incredible and so much fun. And even after that, I remember we had we played really a lot of gigs for being in junior high and high school. Yes. And we played another gig in a little town hockey arena. I forget where it was, but we were playing up basically on the ice, in the corner, right? Yep. And I'm just bringing this up because it's kind of funny. I just remember they were shooting around and it was cool for me because I had stopped playing hockey at that point, but it was kind of cool to be back in a hometown style rink. And we were playing and then we were not playing when the whistle dropped and stuff. And I just remember during the pucks and all the shoot around stuff, this one puck someone shot, went off the crossbar, danced along the glass, which is so skinny, bounced all the way over. And I just saw it the whole way, right from the crossbar. This one particular puck, I saw it bouncing all over the place, off the roof, bing, bang, boom, all over the place. And I was yo, that's coming towards us. And I was just oh, that might hit Tate or Declan or someone, but it just bounces, I think off of a railing again, hits my crash cymbal right on beat with the song. Yep. and I kept that puck too because I was it's not very often that happens, and it was just I was just worried that I was gonna get hit in the head or something with it. But just boom, and I was just watching the whole thing happen. It was so funny, but that was a great time. And from when we were 12 until we were about 15, playing our last gig at Tushfest, I think at Century Casino, was it?
Yeah, that's right. You guys played Century Casino and blew the doors off that place. It's funny because a few weeks ago I recorded a podcast with Mike Braniff that is going to be released in the future, and he actually talked about that. And I remember you guys playing Time by Pink Floyd there and so many other songs. You just everybody went bananas for you. Sail
by AWOL Nation.
Yeah. That one, even though it was a very strongly leaning classic rock crowd, they dug that song too. I was out videoing it. I have videos of all this
That
somewhere.
song was just an instant classic. I really love, that particular album by AWOL Nation. Like, I remember when it came out and stuff, and we were all into it, and yeah, it's still a classic, like
So you were underage at that time when DRT, Declan Riley, Tate played at the Century Casino. Do you remember the next time you played Tushfest?
yes.
It was as the Chickenheads,
Yeah.
which included Mac Long, Wayne Alchin, Tate, and you. And that was when Braniff and everybody they were moving Tushfest to the Starlight Room, and everything was a go.
For a while, like, they booked us, like, a while ahead, didn't they? Like, and yeah, everything was a go. Everything seemed fine.
And then all of a sudden it wasn't.
Yeah, the night before, they were not as keen on having us play.
It was all about the AGLC
Yep,
rules or ALGC, AGLC.
AGLC.
So it was all about that, and it ended up I grabbed a compressor, a
Generator.
generator, and we set up across the street from the, doors to the Starlight Room, and, you guys played there for everybody who was waiting in line to get into Tushfest.
Yeah, in our slot where we would have played,
Yeah,
I think too, like, we were even like, "Hey, like, we'll just play outside," and yeah, we had cop cars circling us for that too.
yeah.
And, yeah, I'm so happy and glad that we did that and that we just didn't take that lying down because that was just it was unprofessional for us, and we took ourselves very seriously at as professionals, at that time, and, obviously AGLC rules, logistics, and all that stuff, but, we were just like it was almost like a little protest of that,
Yeah, it's
and
exactly what it was.
yeah.
Well, and then, I mean, the work that started with Greg Pretty and then continued with Carson Cole and then finished up with me as far as getting underage performers, musicians able to go into Class A licensed establishments eventually happened, but you had already turned 18 by that time. The, uh, the thing was from when you were 14 until you were 18, we father of the year. How many bars do you think I smuggled you into so that you could play jams or gigs or whatever?
I won't
All
say
of them?
almost all of them. I won't say any specific names, but a good number, a good few, more than on 2 hands. Do you think that's accurate?
Well, you think about it with the Chicken Heads and then with the Blues Puppy Trio, playing with Sean, and then with,
With Stephanie and
Stephanie and with, Marystown, it was all stuff because you didn't turn 18 until you were on tour in Sweden with Marystown, and there was a
yeah.
lot of stuff in between in between, um the Starlight Room playing on the side of the street for Tushfest, and when you turned 18, you were still playing with the Command Sisters.
Mhm.
You were playing with, I mean, you had done stuff with Stephanie Harpe. You had been on stage with David Gogo at Rockfest. I think you've been on Rockfest stages 4 times with different bands. With DRT, David Gogo, Stephanie Harpe,
Blues Puppy
and
or
Blues
d
Puppy was at the Beaumont Blues Festival.
Oh, okay.
Which is another place that you've played 3 times.
Well, we've played twice with DRT, I think.
Yeah. So, uh,
So, yeah, 4.
and then, yeah, so, I remember it's the Blues Puppy Trio, with Sean Riquelme, Cody Cole on bass, and you on drums, and we were playing at that, what was the name of that
The
place?
Mercury Room.
Mercury Room, that's
Yeah.
right. Was Dirtpack running that at the time?
I think so,
Yeah.
yeah.
So Dirtpack's running the Mercury Room. Again, you're underage. Stephanie Harpe comes to see you, and, Evan comes to see you, Evan from Marystown, and because they both need drummers. And after you guys did your show, uh, that was the first Blues Puppy Trio show. After you did your show, both Stephanie and Evan wanted you as drummer. And you did both. And but the and
I
and
did.
then Yeah, then there was crazy business going on where all of a sudden Evan figured out a tour of Sweden. You went over to Sweden with, Louis and his wife and Evan. You turned
And
8
Sean Brewer.
Sean Brewer,
Yeah.
that's right. You turned 18 on tour in Sweden. How crazy was that?
It was pretty wild. And it was funny too because like, and this is just perspective for like, I guess like a difference between Europe and Canada for the culture of going out to shows and stuff, or being in bars. Um, so we had a residency at this bar in Old Stockholm called the Engelen, and we had I think a 5 or 6 day residency, and we were basically staying in an apartment above the venue. And like just for location, it was an average apartment, but for a location of where it was like worth like 1.4 mil, like being in that area of Old Stockholm. So we were just staying up there and that, and then we show up. The drums are all there. It's all this cool European gear, all these brands I haven't heard of before. I walk up, I go up, and I'm setting up my stuff, and I'm kind of scoping sussing the place out just in case people want to wonder like why I'm here or whatever, like kind of much like I would do playing around here. And but no one at the bars in Sweden like ever were like, oh, are you supposed to be in here or whatever? Like they're just like, yeah, no, you're here to play music. And then on the actual day that I turned 18, we had already played I think 3 or 4 days there, like 9 to 1 days. And then at the point when I actually turned 18, Evan was like, "Our drummer just finally turned 18 now. He can finally play here." Even though we've been playing here for 3 days. So
Whatever, and then the bar was just
like,
like,
"Yeah, you were fine before, like, whatever. It's fine, but cool, like, good for you," and stuff. And it was, such a fun night. Have I ever told you, the story of how that night, ended?
Was it something to do with a bad bratwurst or something, or was that a different day that
A bad bratwurst.
you were eating something a terrible sausage for breakfast that,
Oh,
got served to you at a restaurant or
that
something?
was a separate trip in Germany, but that was hilarious, and yeah, just not knowing how to read the menu.
Okay,
But,
so what happened on your birthday?
so I, I think I've told you this before, but maybe I haven't, and if I haven't, then it could be news to you. So, we play the set, and we finish up at around 1 or 2 because we play so many encores, like, it was just unreal.
Mhm.
Like, everyone was into it and stuff, made a lot of friends. And, after the gig, we hang out around the bar for a little bit, and I can drink there now. So I'm just like, "Hey, what's up?" And then we go to this other bar that's just a couple doors down. My guys get me a couple drinks and stuff, celebrate, kinda happy birthday thing. And, we're standing outside probably at around 3 or 4 in the morning with some other people that we met, and, just like the whole band and couple extra people. And there's these guys in black leather jackets that pull up and come up and talk to us. And we're just like, hey, how's it going? And I think one of them might have asked for a smoke, like Sean or Evan might have given them a smoke or whatever. And then they basically were like, hey, you guys don't sound like you're from here, like where are you from? And Evan was just like, "Oh, we're from Canada. Hey, we're on tour." Like how we kind of
Mhm.
a lot like this, and just whatever. And they heard that, and they were instantly like, "Get out of our country."
No, that doesn't sound good.
It didn't sound very good to me, and we were like, "No, like we're only here for like a week, and like we're going home in 5 days or whatever." Like, no, like get out of our country now. And then it turned out to be they're kind of like Swedish nationalist guys, and they pulled out blades out of their jackets and started kind of running after us. So I just kind of look at Evan and Sean and Louis, and they're just kind of like, "Yeah, no, like we're running, like we're running away from these guys. They have knives. Like, let's get out of here." And I remember this because when we had first gotten to that bar, there was a big ass wooden door that had an 8-digit code on it, like a digital little keypad, 8-digit code on this door, and it was a really heavy door. And I just remember I only asked for the code once, just when we were like getting acquainted up there and stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, da, 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 da. Remember it. Never had to ask for it again. But then obviously we're running away from these
Knife-wielding
leather jacket, skinhead, weird guys. And everyone's running with me, and somehow I'm leading the pack because I don't know, everyone's a little older than me and stuff. And my goal was to get to the door, and then I was like, oh no, the code. And they were like, they were gaining on us, like they were close. So then I go like, and then I swing this like literally like because it was like a hard door to open, just like if you're trying to open it casually. And I just wharf it open, and everyone runs in. And then I see those guys just like maybe like 3 steps behind the last person that I let in. And then I just take the handle and I just slam it as hard as I can. And then I just hear them go, dun, 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 dun. And then we go up the spiral staircase and reconvene in the apartment. And we were just like, whoa, we made it. And then everyone was like, oh, Riley, with the code, you were so quick. How do you remember that? I didn't remember it. We would have been screwed, dude. And yeah, so I was like, don't mention it, guys.
When you said we went upstairs to our apartment, I thought you were going to say you went up to a balcony and started doing Monty Python stuff.
Oh.
I fought in your general direction.
If there was a balcony, we probably could have done that. We were just kind of like, whoa, okay, let's.
Yeah, well, that's the first I heard of that story.
Really?
Don't tell your mom.
Oh yeah, I swear I thought I told you, but
no, I've never heard.
It was one that I was maybe hesitant of telling you for a while, but that's. Yeah.
So you're playing with Marystown. You play in Germany and Sweden. You go to Sweden twice. You come back. You're playing. You did some recording with Marystown, and then hook up with the Stephanie Harpe experience and
recording with them too.
Sean Rickelme and Rob Newhook were your guitar and bass player for that. Did a bunch of recording for them, and then there was an opportunity. There was a point in time where you were drumming for Stephanie, and then you had the opportunity to go to Berkeley for the summer program.
Yeah.
So, and it was really great because Stephanie Harpe was very supportive and said, even though she was going to be without a drummer, she was going to have to find another drummer or miss some gigs or whatever. She was very supportive of you, and she thought it was great that you were going to the Berkeley summer program in Boston, which was kind of a cool story for 2 reasons. One, we didn't know that we were supposed to send bath towels with you. And 2, one of your classmates at the Berkeley summer program.
One of my classmates.
Yeah. We saw his dad at Commonwealth Stadium.
Reluctantly.
This podcast is reluctantly sponsored by Wendy Campbell, realtor at blackmorerealestate.ca, serving the greater Edmonton area, proudly Canadian and locally owned. Contact Wendy at blackmorerealestate.ca. That's WENDE at blackmorerealestate.ca. Why does she not have a Y in her name? I don't know why. It's none of my business, probably none of yours too. Wendy has over 20 years of home sales experience. She has extensive knowledge of the new and previously owned home market. She can help you out with a free market evaluation of your home. And if you're looking to buy your forever home, she's got all the resources to help you with that as well. Not to mention, she's a builder partner with Rowett Homes. Wendy at blackmorerealestate.ca. WENDE at blackmorerealestate.ca.
Reluctantly.
Hey, give me a minute to tell you about Concept Clothing and Culture. CONXEPPT.com. Suits and tuxedos. And you can find them right here in Edmonton. They're handmade suits, custom tuxedos, tailored essentials, suits starting at $1,188. You choose everything. The color, the fabric, even the stuff on the inside. You know, the little pokey pocket thing that sticks out. It's amazing. It's a terrific experience. You can go through and get something as fancy as a tuxedo, or you can start with outerwear, matching sets, tailored essentials. They even do shirts, trousers, vests, And they do amazing couture for women. CONXEPPT.com. Concept, clothing, and culture. Look your best.
Reluctantly.
Lars?
Oh, yes. Yeah, Miles Ulrich was there at the same time as me that was for the percussion festival, so it was just all drummers and stuff there. And yeah, I never really got an opportunity to talk to him, which is unfortunate because like I follow him now. He's a sick drummer. He's playing in Taipei, Houston, and stuff. I do remember other people playing like Enter Sandman underneath his dorm door and stuff, and just like taking the piss or whatever. And I was just like, he's just another student. Like, leave him alone. Like, he doesn't want to. But I'm sure, I don't know. I'm sure he probably didn't take it that seriously, or maybe just had a laugh about it. But I do remember that. Yeah, sorry. That's at first I was like, who's dad? Like, that was in the States. Like, there's barely any Canadians there.
So the ultimate, you went to Ultimate Drum Camp too. I remember
Montreal.
you were 13 years old. We put you on an airplane and sent you off and told you that somebody would pick you up in a van. It was kind of the same way as us sending Tate and Addie off to Vegas.
Yeah.
Somebody will pick you up. You'll be training with Cirque du Soleil.
But we're just on face like, oh, okay, cool, yeah.
And for you, it was
rock and roll.
Mike Mangini will pick you up if somebody will be there. Or
yeah.
But it was cool because you ended up meeting Dennis
Chambers
and the percussion section for Santana.
Yeah, Raul Rico and Carl Perazzo, and those guys were just so nice. And Mike Mangini, Horatio, El Negro Hernandez, who's the other? Giovanni Hidalgo on the congas. Love that guy. And
then you ended up meeting Carlos Santana. We
Yes.
met Carlos together after I interviewed him.
yes, we did.
Yeah. There was another cool thing. So you had just come back from Ultimate Drum Camp, where the rhythm section for Carlos Santana was part of your. Dennis Chambers was there, Hidalgo was there, they were there, and then it was about a month later.
Kenwood Denard was there too, who
Yeah.
worked at Berkeley too, so that's kind of a connection.
So about a month later, after you came back from Ultimate Drum Camp, Santana was coming through playing at Rogers Place, or maybe it was Rexall Place.
We saw him twice,
Yeah.
but the second time was at Rogers Place, and that's when we met him.
Yeah. So I talked to the guitar tech, and I said, "Hey, man, after the show's done, if those guys want to come down this way," my son was just at Ultimate Drum Camp, and I'll never forget. They finished up the show with Santana, and then they came. Dennis Chambers went off and went to his left, but those two guys came off on the right-hand side of the stage and came. They were at the top of the stairs, and we were standing there by the guitar tech. And they both looked down at you and they put their hands in the air and went, "Riley!" They remember, like it was the coolest thing.
Yeah, it was really sweet. I was so super nice to those guys, and yeah, made me feel really good about myself. Yeah, super nice. Love those guys.
You made an impact because of what you did at Ultimate Drum Camp too. You stuck out there, so it was kind of cool. I don't know. There's a million directions we could go. From there, it ended up being the Stephanie Harpe experience, and then the Blues Puppy Trio, and of course, starting with Cody Cole, and then with Rob Newhook, who we lost, and then Tate Tweeton comes. Tate comes around in the circle again. He taught himself how to play bass, and ends up being the bass guitar player for the Blues Puppy Trio. And you guys, you talk about sharing a musical brain. The three of you were unbelievable.
That was such a fun project, and Tate became like just as proficient, if not more proficient, on the bass than he did on the guitar. He was doing all the synth stuff. Like, he's just like, the gears in his brain are just always going. And Sean is just like easily one of the best guitar players I've played with. Like, he's like so many that are tied for first in my book, and he's just like, there's no one like him. And super inspiring. Obviously, I met him as Blues Puppy and playing the blues and stuff, but I got to get to know him and like discover and share our interests, like other types of music, like different things, like, video games and like much more beyond music. Like we would like hang out like very regularly, and Rob too. And especially when those two guys were roommates, I'd see them like every other day. And that was when we were still in St. Albert. Yeah, just really good memories with those guys and with Steph and with Marystown. And then I think at around that time was like McEwen that kind of kicked off like a little bit after that stuff because I took a year off in between high school. And then I remember, uh, I don't think Evan was as down with me to go to McEwen. I was just like, "Oh, hey, I'm thinking about trying out for McEwen. Like, Declan's able to give me like a recommendation, like show me what I need to do." And he's like, "Oh, you don't need school, man."
Well, you went to school and found out that I mean, as I think there are aspects of it you enjoyed, but there are other aspects of it that didn't make any sense to you as far as what you had in mind or what you wanted to do.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I even in any type of school, like, unless it was something like gym or band or science, I would always do really good in science, and most of the time in LA and social. I was horrible in math because I didn't care about it. It was so monotonous, it sucked, so I was a terrible student in math. Depending on what it was or who the teacher, what the subject matter is or whatever, I could be a great student or, like, a terrible student, and when I started at McEwen, um, it was really just a hit the ground running situation where it was like extra academic and people are going for their masters and like all this sort of stuff like and it's not just people straight out of high school that are starting McEwen. Like Kevin Bekovich, who played with Marystown for a little bit, I met him through that. And then I show up to orientation day at McEwen and then I see him there and he had already been teaching for years. But I was like, "Oh, hey, like, like we're all starting off from the same kind of spot, plus or minus like what we knew like before coming here." It was definitely a very academic thing, and it gave, well, obviously it's a university, and it gave everyone so many different like paths and opportunities, and a lot of the best ones, honestly, were the networking opportunities. And because so many of the people that I met at McEwen, I still interact with or work with, or just like go have a beer with and chill out with, like still today and that just branched off into so many other projects like getting to hang out more with Declan again at McEwen and meeting so many other cool people and through that starting bands like Trace Italian and Hunchback and working with Austin Herbert, Sean Newton, Daniel Blade and Cam McLean and Shay Isles and so many like Kian Hominiuk, Kelsey Kelsey Wood. And just from that and being, like, in the orbit of, like, everyone and stuff, like, that just split off into so many other bands, and that's just what I was trying to do. I was playing these gigs as DRT or as Chickenheads or whatever. I've always been, like, a keener or whatever, like, trying to play this stuff, but, I kinda wanted to make a sincere and honest effort, not only in school, but outside of school just to play as often as possible, and that was things like with Hunchback, like DIY underground shows and like playing at the sewing machine factory every weekend, every opportunity we can, like curating a bill with all these bands and getting to use the recording studio at McEwen. Like I probably neglected my ear training or my theory homework quite a bit to be in the studio, but I don't regret it at all.
And it was, I mean, yeah, I mean, wasn't like I was going to say, "What's the matter with you? You should be, doing better in theory." I mean, I was a C plus student too. So the other thing too is you rattled off all those names of those people that you networked with through Grant McEwen. At the same time, you were still networking with all of the people like Bobby Cameron, like Mike Plume, like Sandro Dominelli, like Greg Pretty, like Johnny Tornado, Mark Amar, like, and so many other people, and then the relationships, Wayne Alchin, yeah, then you started, and you ended up in a situation where you were, also networking with people like David Gogo and Kim Mitchell and Tom Cochran, and who, I mean, these are people that are basically numbers in your phone right now that you have access to for mentorship, for assistance, for guidance, for questions, for answers, for networking and all kinds of stuff, bouncing ideas off. It's pretty incredible. After Grant McEwen, you ended up through Trevor meeting up with Shotty Horroh, who was a battle rapper from Manchester, UK.
Yes,
Did
sir.
the record in Toronto, and all of a sudden, the drummer that he did the record with decided he was going to go on a different gig. So you auditioned for that. You had to learn the songs in 2 days and send videos of all of the songs to them, and then a trip to Toronto, and then all of a sudden, you're Shotty Horroh's drummer.
Yep. It went quicker than I imagined because I learned all the songs like far ahead of when I ever arrived there, and I just remember flying to Toronto. I've never even been to Toronto outside the airport, but I'm just like, okay, well, this is different, and I get an Uber to PMAC's house. I just remember like the Uber dropping me off there. And my Uber was just like, "Are you sure this is the right house?" I'm just like, "I'm not sure, but I'm just gonna say yes just so you can go, like, I'm fine." And, I just remember going up to his steps and knocking on the door, and, him just opening the door. He was just like, "Come in." And from then on, that place was, kinda like my second home, Toronto home, that, like, obviously is PMAC's house, but, me and Trevor would stay at and stretch and people and like a lot of people passing through and recording there and stuff. And it was just like so cool and like just like an opportunity unlike anything I had before. And that's saying something because like up until that point, like I haven't been doing little. I've done a lot even up until that point.
You were doing a lot, but it was a lot of local and regional stuff, and
Yeah,
this was your first
the departure outside of that.
this was your first foray into, national and international sort of, stuff, uh, well, aside from the Marystown thing, I guess, with Sweden and Germany. Sweden twice and Germany once, but, with Shotty Horroh, you ended up, touring all through the UK, and you played in Germany, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. We played the Reeperbahn Festival in Hamburg, which was so much fun. Always gonna remember that one. It was just like such a fun time. And we played um, Birmingham, 2 shows in Manchester, and a show in London. And those 2 shows in Manchester were like just the greatest shows. Like just playing like a packed venue.
Sweaty.
Sweaty, yeah, moshing and all that, like, still a lot of images from that, like, kinda stick in my head, and all of that just off of, like I learned the songs, but basically my audition into that was just showing up for the music video and like, "Hey, yeah, I got the gear, I know the songs," or whatever, and they're like, "Okay, yeah, you're in the video," and by proxy in the band, and that was even before we had rehearsed, like, a whole lot. I think I basically met Shotty at that video thing, and everyone, like, Rainer, Jesse and Jules and Liam Farrell, who's the drummer who recorded those songs. And
So and anybody can look up Shotty Horroh stuff, and there's a gazillion videos from the Much Music space, or was it the YouTube space or Much Music space? YouTube space, that you
yeah,
did the videos, and then, all kinds of, YouTube stuff from Shotty Horroh from that tour. And then, you toured across Canada, with Shotty Horroh, as well, right from Quebec all the way to Victoria.
yep, and it was so cool just because like starting from Montreal and then going all the way to Victoria, you just really see how like Canada transforms and being on the road and just like, like driving through Toronto and all that, like all the thick forested areas like boreal forest and all that, and then like getting into the prairies around like Winnipeg, Saskatchewan, and then just how flat Saskatchewan is, and Alberta, which is kind of in between the mountainous and the prairie, and then over to BC, it just transforms. And it was just so fun. Like it's just like kicking back. Hey, you got a long drive. Let's just kick it. play some music and all that, and it was just such good memories. And even like I remember our one of our photography guys or slash like media guys that was working with us. We had Venno a lot of the time. Shout out to Venno and Mars. I remember Mars was on this tour with us. We had just played the Edmonton show, the homecoming one, which was pretty wild.
At the Needle Vinyl Tavern.
Yeah, or at Station.
Or Station.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, and that was unreal, and we basically just straight from there, drove to, effectively, like, through Kamloops, but we were playing, Vancouver and then Victoria, and I remember, like, everyone was sleeping in the car, and I drove, like, a little more than half of the tour, like, and sometimes they're like, "Yo, Riley, you're driving."
With a U-Haul full of all your shit.
Yeah, and, but I was just, "Hey, like, I'm here, I'm a team player, I'll do whatever, you know, I'll make sure I can drive, I'm not gonna drink too much or do any stupid stuff." Yeah, after the Edmonton show, we drove through to BC, and I remember Mars was in the front seat sleeping, everyone in the car was sleeping, and it was basically I drove through the night, like, just stayed up, didn't sleep, just drove through the night. And then it was probably 7, 8 in the morning when we were getting into Kamloops, and sun's like peeking through the window and everything. We're driving through like kind of all the mountainous stuff.
Mhm.
It's really cool, like almost like deserty. And Mars wakes up, first one to wake up, and he's in the front seat. And then he just like, I just see him go. And he's like, "Yo, this is Canada?" I'm just like, "Yeah, it's BC, man. It's Kamloops. We're just passing through Kamloops right now." We're just like, "Yo, I didn't know Canada looked like this." Never been to BC before.
Yeah.
And then he was just instantly like from that time he was and it felt cool for me because it was, you know, because I was kind of a part of that, or like, yeah, no, like I've been here a lot. It's okay. And then, you know, we finished that tour. Everyone flew home. I drove the U-Haul and the big ass Suburban all the way back to Edmonton.
By yourself.
Mars stayed in BC in Kelowna, I think, for an extra couple days, and met some people on some boats and just had a time. 'Cause you know, like I gotta stay around here and stuff. And but yeah, very special and really cool experience.
There wasn't a second Shotty Horroh rock record, and everybody kind of went their separate.
There was actually. It was just with another drummer, and that was like kind of during the pandemic
Was that right?
stuff. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he had another band for a little bit.
Was it in Manchester, in UK?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, and oddly enough, through playing with Shotty, and actually I'll bring it back to the Edmonton gig because it was really another reason why it was special is because who was opening for us for that gig but Beach Towels. And that was Declan's first gig playing with them because Joel reached out to Declan and was like, "Hey, you should play." And it happened to be for the Shotty tour that I was a part of. And so that's how I met Joel. I think Kelsey was playing bass for that. You know, met everyone from that, and then slowly but surely kind of collaboration started with that, and I've recorded stuff with Beach Towels as well and kind of got into the mix. And then Joel wound up being the guy to pretty much mix and master the Hunchback record, which was recorded here,
Right here in the Dominelli Studios.
in the next door over, basically.
And then there was the other thing too, we talked earlier.
All these degrees of separation and just like it's a small world and
I know.
stuff. Like it's, you know.
Well, here's one more. Earlier in the podcast, you talked about your first musical memory being bootlegged by Mike Plume. Well, it was the same venue at that Shotty show, but a different night, where you, Sean, and Rob played as Mike Plume's band for a Mike Plume show.
Yeah.
So your first musical memory from when you were 3 years old, you end up
Playing with the guy.
being in a band.
Yeah, man.
that he played at that venue. So after the all of the Shotty Horroh stuff, there was a little bit of a sabbatical, and then through the same management group, you end up getting in a situation where you can audition for AP Dhillon, who is a Punjabi hip hop superstar. Uh, he's a household name in India, and all of a sudden, you're playing music and you don't understand a word of the singing.
I could barely understand Shotty half the time either with his Manchester accent.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, but shout out to Shotty. I know that I'm gonna be sharing this everywhere, and Shotty, I hope you see this because we love you, man. And yeah,
Yeah, I remember him sending the message to Tommy Lee about you because Shotty and Tommy Lee have worked together.
yeah, and yeah, it felt cool that Tommy Lee acknowledged my existence and just said good luck, and I was just like, yeah, I dressed up as you for Halloween.
So how AP Dhillon, all of a sudden it's they reach out and say, "Hey, would Riley be interested in this project?" I thought, well, yeah, probably. So, send him the music, and then all of a sudden you're drumming completely different style of music. What was that like, going from rock to hip hop and pop, and
Oh, it was just so much fun. Like, I just saw it as a challenge, through playing many different styles of music and stuff, playing festivals and this and that, arenas here and there and stuff. But and like touring to the extent that I tour and recording to the extent that I record. Really, like, even during those times, I was like, oh, like, because I was listening to a lot of rap music and a lot more hip hop, like, especially at McEwen as well. Like, everyone, like, listened to a lot of jazz too, sure. But I was really like, I was almost like kind of really like starting to appreciate hip hop like that much more. And especially around the Shotty time, even though like I did grow up with a lot of rap music, like playing the Tony Hawk games and stuff. Like, that was kind of my first, like, exposure to that, and it was awesome. Or like, video game soundtracks, G- GTA, all that jazz. And but through playing, like, whatever type of music I was playing, I always just like imagined that, like, oh, I could, for that rapper, I could definitely drum for her, like be on this tour or whatever, like I could do this, like, I just want an opportunity like that. Like, if I was playing like trap beats and stuff, like I could play it like my way, but like accurately, and like supporting the song and supporting the artist. Like, I just wanted that challenge. And then when it presented itself, I was just like, awesome. Like, these are like, I can definitely play these trap beats and you know, not make it like I'm not just like the token drummer to play like rock songs. Like, hey, like I want to be like a part of the show, like a part of the performance with you guys. And like, I want, I felt like going into it, I just had a lot to prove, and I really wanted, to get that spot. I didn't know if I was the only person they were considering at the time or if they were considering other people. So when I got that call, um, Trevor was basically just like, hey, here's these 4 songs, learn these, and send in a video, or like, we'll see you in Toronto in a couple weeks or whatever, just get these songs down. I just went ahead, obviously I learned those 4 songs, but I just went on AP's Apple Music and just saw all of his tracks that he had up on there. I think at that time he had like maybe like between 32 and 36. I just plocked myself down and learned all of them. Only have something to gain from doing that, nothing to lose. Even if I don't get the gig, hey, I learned all these songs, got some practice out of it. Cool. Thanks for the consideration, but I respect to Latch and Kramer, part of that band, because they were a crucial part to that first iteration of the band. Um, I think just the way that my preparation for it, I just kinda wanted to put myself in that spot of being, like, as the most dependable, or as dependable as I can be.
You made it so that they couldn't not hire you. That you made it so that they would be silly if they didn't.
Yeah, like, yeah, exactly.
Good for you. And from there, co-writing, YouTube videos, and then you end up flying all over Hell's Half Acre. You've played all across Canada. I got to see you play at the Saddle Dome in Calgary.
Yep.
My brother Graham and his wife and their friends got to see you play at the arena in Toronto. You've played Lollapalooza India, the very first Lollapalooza that was ever in India, in Mumbai. I've heard there's been up to 70,000 people at that show that you played at.
It was a pretty massive festival, and, yeah, every time I'm in that area now, I'm always just like, "Oh, yeah, there's the horse track, Mahalaxmi horse track that you can see from space." Like, it's a huge festival grounds area and a lot of really cool bands that were a part of it that year, like, Imagine Dragons and The Strokes and
Greta Van Fleet.
yeah, Greta Van Fleet was there. And so many other great bands, really great Punjabi band, Indian band Bloodywood. They were kind of like Indian Gojira, if you've ever known Gojira.
Yeah.
Like, that's and yeah, really love those guys. They were so sick to see. Japanese Breakfast was there and, like, just being, like, in the orbit and, like, these kind of things was just so special, and, it was, definitely off to a rocking start, and
How many times have you been to India now?
I think, like, 5 or 6 maybe, like
You've spent, on 2 separate occasions, you've spent an entire month touring India.
Yep. That was, in 2024 and 2025, respectfully. The 2024 one was just 3 shows, spread out with a little more time in between, but then, the last one that we were on was 8 shows where we were, like, hopping from city to city every, like, 2 to 3 days. Sometimes we'd have, like, some back-to-backs, and, it was, yeah, just the time of my life, and, very fulfilling and, like, starting to get I can be kinda recognized out there sometimes and stuff, and,
Well, sure, people look you up, people Google, "Who is AP Dhillon's drummer?" It's Riley Chernoff.
yeah,
It's a big deal, man.
and, yeah, and, playing India so many times and finally, like, really getting to, like, go, like, all over it too, like, not just, like, staying for, like, a couple days in New Delhi or Mumbai or whatever, like, really getting, like, to like, the whole experience, which was just super special, and even being, like, close to where AP was originally from and stuff and going golfing with those guys, like, it just, like yeah, it just, made me really happy and, just, really good camaraderie with everyone a part of that, and, just super excited for what more is to come. I'm already just, like, fulfilled enough that I got to play Rexall Place and the Saddle Dome before both get torn down
Mhm.
stuff, and, I've played Rogers Place for the Junos, and now I just wanna play
That's right.
the new Calgary arena once it's, open.
Yeah, that's we skipped right over the Junos, didn't we?
Yeah, we're hopping all over the place. So I knew it was gonna kinda be like this. I'm a chatterbox, so I could, like, run on and on about
Well,
things.
that's the great thing about a podcast
Yeah,
is that it ends when it ends. The other thing too is
in the 7th hour.
Lollapalooza is one thing, but you also played the other biggest concert, vehicle on the planet, Coachella.
Yes. And that was, I super really hope to get to play it again. Uh, I'd love to play it with AP. I'd love to play it with Beach Towels or Hunchback or whoever one of these days. I'd love to play it just me once I have my own kinda more thing. But yeah, it's, I never thought, like, being 25, 26, going to play there, I never thought I'd be, like, even a sniff away from there, let alone playing on, like, one of not the main stage, but one of the main stages on the Sahara Stage, like, on the same stage as, like, Grimes and Ken Carson and Ice Spice and, like, Peggy Gou and so many amazing artists. And, just being able to see so many cool artists, like getting to see Blur and, Sublime with, Brad Noel's son, Jacob Noel, was making his debut at that Coachella, who's, the original guitarist of Sublime, passed in, like, '96, and his son is basically taking the mantle, so I saw that show.
You've been to Abu Dhabi, you've been to Dubai twice to play the Coca-Cola Center there. You've got other stuff coming up with AP Dhillon. Is there something? Is a thing in September still on?
That is announced, and I believe it is still a go. It is the Breaking Borders Festival in Malta, right below Italy. So that's just another place that I haven't been before. Very much looking forward to that. Yeah, just I love playing with these guys. I love playing with AP and Shinda, Tompa and Luca, having Akshat and Prabash and everyone rolling with us and stuff. I'm gonna try and shout out as many people as I can, but love all those guys so much, and I've want to be in their orbit, and because we're proud of those guys, and I'm proud of what we're doing, and yeah.
Well, you should be. You should be, and I hope when you're in those situations that you feel that you're on a level playing field with so many of the other artists that are there because you are. They're your peers. You're playing the big stages all over the world, so there's nothing different between you and your crew than there is for anybody else who's playing those festivals. And so you're speaking of other stuff that you've got coming up, but it's not just AP Dhillon when you're back home, because touring with AP is not consistent. There's the private shows here and there, and then festivals, and
There's
maybe
times for downtime and stuff,
yeah.
or recording or what have you, or going to the Louis fashion show or Burberry and such. And yeah, I'm waiting for my invite for those too.
Yeah, I bet you are.
Yeah.
But when you're home and you've got shows coming up for K Days, you're playing for two acts for K Days.
Yes, I am, and I'm super excited about both of them. One of them is Lucette, and I'm saying this in chronological order. I'll actually be playing with her June 20th at Beaumont Blues Festival, and I'm actually rehearsing with her and the band later today, actually, for that. And playing Beaumont Blues Festival, and then we're playing July 24th, K Days, opening for Noah Cyrus, Miley Cyrus's sister, and then
That's Lucette. Both of those gigs, Beaumont and K Days on the 24th for Lucette.
Yes. And then on the 26th, I'm super stoked on this one as well. I'm filling in for Joel Jeske, playing a set with Whale and the Wolf on July 26th, and opening for the Beaches. I'm super stoked about that as well because we've known Whale and the Wolf for years. Like we've known Brandon Yagi and Danny Yagi. It's like we were me and Declan all collectively. We
went to those first jams together when everybody was underage.
Hideaway jams and stuff, and I've bumped into him so often over the years. Brandon, Raimai, Lucas, all those guys, Joel, and obviously Sean Waddingham is like one of my best friends as well. He was their first drummer in that band, and
you're filling in for Joel because Joel's playing a gig with Royal Tusk.
Yeah. I think he's in Nova Scotia at that time. And but yeah, so that was really cool, and I'm super when I saw that message from Brandon asking me to do that, I was just super excited, and to finally get to play with those guys, even just once, just to fill in, because Whale and the Wolf were like just as inspiring to kind of like watch them do their thing, and like it kind of gave us fuel, whether what this band or the other band or whatever, like it was just like, oh, like
yeah, for sure,
we gotta play.
You have your peers at the big festivals, and you have your peers in your hometown, and everybody's there supportive of one another, and the Edmonton music scene especially. And as we talk about stuff, it makes me think more and more of people like Danielle
and Jordan,
and Jordan playing for Danielle Marie, and George's got a new song. Danielle's got a new song out right now, and you've shared the stage with Stephanie Harpe and Clayton Bellamy from the Roadhammers, and there's the Memphis Blues Challenge and everything with the Blues Puppy Trio that you guys played at, and then Troy Turner that you've played down in New Orleans and Louisiana and all through there. And didn't you play the New Orleans Blues Fest?
Yep, we were gonna play the main stage, but there was a torrential thunderstorm that shut that down. And if the venue owners, or I mean the people running the festival rather, if they didn't shut it down, I probably would have shut myself down and not played that gig up on that possibly electrocuted stage, because I'm deathly still afraid of lightning and storms and thunder. So I had no interest of playing that, but obviously they were like, we can't have you on the main stage. So instead of having us on the main stage, and of course, like a couple hours after this, the weather cleared up and everything was fine. Just
Yeah, John Prine, didn't John Prine play after the weather cleared up or before?
I think so.
I think it was after the weather
Yeah,
cleared up.
I know
John
he was
Prine.
there that year for sure.
Yeah.
And but as a consolation prize for not being able to get to play the main stage, we got to play inside a little circus tent beside a popcorn machine.
You got to play.
Gig's a gig, still counts.
You got to play Blues Fest.
Can't tell me it doesn't count.
Now,
still such a cool experience, and being able to play on Bourbon Street and in and around Baton Rouge and some of the places that Troy's been growing up around for years too. And very special time. Anytime I get to go down to New Orleans, you should go. You and Mom should go.
Oh, I know. Well, we were going to go. We had it all planned, but then they had a hurricane down there, and we had to kibosh that. We talked earlier about the Chicken Heads and about the Blues Puppy Trio, the Stephanie Harpe experience, and there's a couple of guys in those bands that you have very, very strong feelings about, with not only them as playing partners in music, but also as friendship with Wayne Alchin and Rob Newhook, who we've lost both of them.
Yeah, those two guys. I will always hold them very dearly. And I don't know. I hate to say this to sound cliche, and I would even liken people like Roger Tweeton in this conversation as well.
Tate's dad, yeah.
And so sorry, I'll be okay. I've known Wayne since like almost about the same amount of time as knowing Mike Plume, and through like the jams and stuff, and through just him coming over and teaching you how to play guitar, because we're kind of trying to learn and stuff, and he would come over. And Wayne was one of those people that was like just there and just being like, hey, like, and you know what, he like, just his energy was just contagious, and like his deadpan humor, it was all just contagious. And I looked forward so much every time when he came over and spent some time with you and me, or that kind of thing. And that's just like I remember. I'm going to talk a little bit about each one of them. One of these guys. Like, I remember one particular day where we were playing guitar, and I was playing guitar as well, because I was trying to do some stuff. And obviously, I'm not a guitar player, but I was playing with you guys. I felt like I was just ass, and I got really upset, and I was just like, damn, like, I just want to be a part of this, like, somehow, kind of thing. And and that's since then it kind of stuck with me, that I was kind of like, okay, like, might not be guitar, I'm not a very good guitar player, but it's like I would know I want to do something. And and I think I have Wayne to owe for that. And then meeting Tate and Declan and those guys, and Roger.
Roger was a hell of a guy.
And he always made sure that we were fresh to death and stuff. And that's our Converse and Nomis sponsorships, giving us getting me a deal on a snowboard and snowboard boots, snowboard bindings, like all like the newest Bonfire and Solomon releases. He was a brand rep for Solomon for years. And driving us all over the place with the PA, and driving us through the McDonald's drive-through backwards.
It's because I was on the passenger side, and I was
that was why. It's like, okay, let's improvise. Just like, I'll just give you my card, and I'll share you pass through. It's like, oh no, let me go through this way. And the people are like, yo, what are you doing? and just like sharing so many different cool experiences with them. Like, you know, me and Tate, like, he let Tate watch South Park at 7, so, like, we would always just, like, South Park and Family Guy jokes, like, all day and stuff, like, he was just, like, another friend like that too, but he also helped us out so much, and, like, yeah, and one time me and Tate were stuck on a ski hill because we were going, through, like, the back routes of Marmot, like, where we weren't really supposed to go, but that's just because Tate was just, like, a adrenaline junkie for that kind of thing, even, like, now, but especially back then, and I hadn't been snowboarding for long, but I was like, "Oh, okay, well, not a I'm not a wimp, I'll do it. I'll come on the same roads. I don't wanna be, like, I'm not just gonna go to the chalet and have a Frosty or poutine. I'm gonna try, but we got lost and we were stranded for, like, a good couple hours, and it got to the point where we were like, "Oh, no," like, so we'd be, like, kinda worried, and we were like, like, trying to call 'cause, Roger was there with us or whatever, and, we were there freezing our asses off in, like, thick powder, like, we were at the point where we were exhausted, and we were just kind of like, "Hey, let's just hang tight and reconvene," kinda thing, but I was not handling it as well because I didn't know what we were gonna do exactly, but then, Roger, out of nowhere, like, because we were near, like, all the cable ties for all the chairlifts and stuff, I just see him just appear on the chairlift, and he was like, "Oh, there you guys are, blah, blah, blah." Kinda thing, and, got us out of the thing and taught us how to, like, traverse down the steep mountain, and was like, "Yo, like, hey, like, don't just go straight down, you aren't gonna hurt yourself, like, you're good," and, he, like, kinda guided us down from there, and yeah, so but just, like, his elevated, on the chairlift kinda thing sticks with me, and, yeah, along with a lot of other things, which are just, yeah, great memories. Wish, could have been around to see some more of him, but know that he'd be pretty stoked.
Yeah, he'd be super proud of everything. He was as proud as of you as he was of Tate as well. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
and your bass player in the Blues Puppy trio there for a spell with Rob Newhook, he was a he was quite a guy.
Yeah, he's a miraculous dude, just like, you know, multi-talented, played guitar very well, sang incredibly well. Him and Sean's harmonies were just, like, very inspiring to me too and made me wanna sing more because they were like Don Henley and Don Henley Jr. or like
Yeah, Don Henley and Glenn Fry.
or like the Wario and the Waluigi version of John and Paul in a funny way. I just got to spend so much, time with Rob and Sean, and even Rob just, like me and Rob would just hang out, like, very frequently as well, and, like, outside of just like, "Oh, hey, see you at rehearsal," type thing, like, we were, like, friends, and, yeah, I miss him every day, and, let alone that, finding out about him and, Cam Rosé, Jesse Roper's drummer, who is, Steph's neighbor, actually, for years, so we would always just see Cam pop his head over the fence. Be like, "Hey, what are you guys doing? Oh, rehearsing? Oh, yeah, no, I'm just going to BC tomorrow, doing this and blah, blah, blah," with his, silver Airstream trailer, and he was just, like, the jolliest dude ever, and, yeah, I found out that they were both gone on the same day in the middle of, the the poo-poo times in 2020 and to 2022, and, yeah, it's, but the last time I saw Rob was actually at his house still, and, he had left the band at that point, and Tate had joined, and, things were maybe a little weird with us for a little while, but then after some time passed, we were good again. So I popped by the house to see Sean, and Rob was there, and, at the top of the stairs in their house, just, like, right when you walk in the door, there was just a staircase, and I just saw him, in his pajamas and a muscle shirt and bare feet standing at the top of the stairs, and he was like, "Hey, man, how's it going? It's good to see you." And, yeah, and that was the last time that I saw him, but all those guys I hold in, physically and otherwise in high regard, so
Awesome.
I owe a lot to those guys, and I think that they would be pretty stoked. And I just want to, that's why I wanted to talk about them today. But I'm not gonna be too misty about it because it's yeah, memory lives on, and they're it's nothing but fond memories with those guys. Yeah.
At jrc.drums is his Instagram handle. He doesn't do a ton on it. You're not.
I do stuff when it's like important enough.
Yeah. But you can follow him on Instagram. Go and see him at the Beaumont Blues Festival, drumming for Lucette, also for Lucette at Klondike Days, and then with Whale and the Wolf at Klondike Days here in Edmonton, and of course down in Beaumont. And then if you're in Malta in September.
Yes, fly to Malta, please. I don't know anyone there. No.
This was fun going down some and multiple memory lanes with you.
Super fun, and a little rusty off the hop, but then we got into it, and it's just like, it's like we're just having a conversation, but it's like an all-encompassing kind of conversation, and it's the first time being, I guess documented like this, like kind of the story, me a part of your story, even vice versa, and all of that. And just so much fun and a pleasure to be a part of. And I knew you'd ask me eventually. Be the 101 episode.
Kate was 100, you were 101.
And
thanks for doing this.
Of course. And I also want to shout out, I've been releasing a lot of songs. Well, actually, we put out one, and I know that she's wanting to do some more, but Leela Ruby with Local Mystic. I've had some recordings with her that are lovely, and there are more to come. So you should definitely check out Local Mystic and give her lots of love and support. And also been working a lot with Griffin Lindahl and Vanessa, Charlie Lindahl, and all those darling guys, and making a lot with them too. Lots of stuff in the works, working with Declan some more. I hope to work with Joel some more.
Your own stuff.
My own stuff, and sing more, and maybe I'll get a bassoon. What else? But yeah, I think I'm just up.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, I heard that.
Thunder.
Wish me luck on the drive home. Jeez. Hey, yeah. All right. Well, I think we covered it all.
Reluctantly.
This podcast reluctantly sponsored by ThompsonMortgages.com. If you are set to renew your mortgage in 2026, reach out to Thompson Mortgages first. TimberBuiltHomes.ca. Homes and cottages, recreational dwellings, and more at TimberBuiltHomes.ca. Concept Clothing and Culture. Amazing custom-made clothes for men and for women at CONXEPPT.com. And Wendy Campbell, realtor at BlackmoreRealEstate.ca. If you would like to list your home, or if you're searching for your forever home, email Wendy at BlackmoreRealEstate.ca. WENDE at BlackmoreRealEstate.ca.
Reluctantly.